What's good, everyone? Welcome to season 2 of the Washington Commanders Aftermath, the off-season edition. I got a special guest with me today, Mr. Chris Coachman in the house. One of the biggest Washington fans besides myself. What's going on, man?
I'm good, man. Good to be back on the Aftermath, man. It's been a while, but I'm glad to be here, man. And a lot has changed since last time we talked, so I'm here
Yes, a
for
lot has changed. So you know how we gonna do? We're gonna start with that intro before we get digging in.
After the game, it's the aftermath. Win or lose, we still wave our commander's flag. Riding with Wentz under center, making the pass. Jahan Dotson, young rookie, making a splash. That burgundy and gold, that's what we about. Jonathan Allen knocking QBs to the ground. We die hard and nobody can shut us down. Cause this is the greatest show in town. Let's go! Go, 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 go.
All right, we back. Man, Chris, man, since last year, coming into this year, the storylines was the sell of the team. We didn't know when it was going to happen. We just had reports, being anxious from here and there. Now that it's done, now that we have got Nino Brown, Daniel Snyder out the way, give me your thoughts, man. Give me your feelings. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So before I get started, definitely shout out to the intro. I love the intro, man. Definitely shout out to Carson Wentz for that block on Roquan Smith, man. That so shout out.
Oh yeah.
But, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's weird and it's so funny. And I think about from a chronological standpoint. I remember in November he was going to Bank of America trying to inquire about the selling everything. I'm like, okay, that's a sign that he's gonna sell this team. So it's like it's every little detail is like, okay, this the next step. All right, is it gonna continue to happen? I even got worried about Thursday. But as now it's official that it's sold to Daniel Snyder sold the team. I think it's a new day. I think people fail to realize. And I think that's what's good about you and I. We've had a front row seat to this. This isn't just a regular. Okay, well, it's just an owner. It's that gonna be nothing that's changed. We've dealt with so much with this owner when it comes to everything that's possible. Even as far as just little stuff like the personnel that he hires. To us being in the news, us being linked to pretty much any NFL scandal in these last couple of years. And I think I forgot it was Josh Harris or Magic Johnson. One of them said that, this team can now focus on playing football instead of being in the headline. And that's what you want. You want those type of situations where you want an owner that just owns a team and everything is quiet. And that's one thing too, where the biggest voice in the room was the owner of the team, which in this and how this constructing this current NFL era, you can't do that. You have to have a owner that just does his thing and keeps and let the people who he hire run his franchise. So it's a brand new day, and I'm just looking forward to this new chapter of Washington football. I don't know if we're going to be the Commanders or whatever, but this new era of Washington football. So I'm excited.
I agree with you, man. I agree with you 100%. I've been following this for last couple of years when it was talking about, Jeff Bezos had interest in the team. This is before Jeff Bezos put his bid in. When I lived in Seattle and I moved back to Georgia, Jeff Bezos' name came up and they were talking about, well, if he buy, will he move it to the PNW over there in the Pacific Northwest? And there was an area that could have been had Tacoma, Washington, that would have gave the city of the state of Washington 2 football teams. I just never thought it would have happened. I think the fans would have went up in the uproar of this franchise moving all the way to the West Coast. I just don't see the fans flying cross country just to be go to games. And that, but nevertheless, I go back to when Daniel Snyder first bought this team, and the league, Jack Kent's son wanted to buy this team, and the league shunned him and gave it to Daniel Snyder because Daniel Snyder was a fresh face. You know, he was in finance or whatever he was in. But nevertheless, we had a great squad back then. Marty Schottenheimer had this team. This team, the year that Daniel Snyder took over, the team was building something special. I still believe that the following year we would have went to the Super Bowl. We would have had another Super Bowl under Marty Schottenheimer because the way he constructed the team. But Daniel Snyder came in and tore it all to pieces. And the team never recovered. We never really recovered from that standpoint. Even when we got Mike Shanahan and we had RG3, that was probably the last excitement this franchise had. You know, we don't went through Jay Gruden. We don't went through the up and downs. We don't win the division. We don't win the division of COVID year. Taylor Heineke gave us excitement. But there was no really excitement from Marty Schottenheimer to Mike Shanahan with RG3, and that was it. We made some drafts and changes. The only reason why this franchise had to change because Daniel Snyder kept his nose in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. If he had came in and hired people from the beginning, he could have been successful. He could have probably had a Super Bowl. We would have had a stadium by now. We probably would have never had to change the Redskins name. But he tore this franchise down. So now fast forward, and just for the record, I didn't want Jeff Bezos as my owner. I just didn't want him. I mean, I had a guy that I had on the show last year. We were going back and forth on Twitter on it, and I just told him, he talking about because Jeff Bezos got money. I said, well, Elon Musk got more money than him. And I was like, that just don't make, because you have more money, that just don't make you a business. You're a businessman to a certain extent, but you're not a sports businessman. You need somebody with sports brains that could come in there, because the same thing we would have had another Daniel Snyder. It just would have been that way. And people would have been, he would have bought us a stadium. He would have did all of this, but the team probably would still perform poorly. So, and the one thing that I'm excited about, we got a black owner. Yeah. We got a black owner. If people really sit back and realize this, the Washington franchise has been the first with black excellence in this franchise for years. And it's like, we the only team that put minorities up front, despite the allegations with Daniel Snyder. But we did it with Joe Gibbs. We did it way back before Joe Gibbs. I forgot the guy's name because I read up on him a little bit. Now we got Magic, and I just didn't want Jeff Bezos or Jay-Z. I couldn't stomach it. I don't think I would have been. I just couldn't stomach it. It just, I wanted somebody that knows sports. I wanted somebody that has a great mind. And just to see them Friday at this rally, how these fans really, like, a whole dark cloud has lifted over our head and everything like that. I'm gonna ask you a question. Your sense of Magic Johnson. We know Magic Johnson from basketball and all of his business endeavors. Now, things with the Lakers didn't work out, but the Lakers is a mess anyway. You know what I'm saying? So you can't expect for him to do anything with that because, Jeannie Buss runs it and it's just a mess over there. But I think he's in a great position with Washington. And I think the community is going to embrace him wholeheartedly. Give me your thoughts on Magic.
Yeah, I think Mac Johnson. I mean, I think he has great business acumen. I think, obviously, you look at the other teams that he is, as far as a minority owner in. You look at like the success of the Dodgers. You look at those type of situations, and I think he will. I think that's one thing too. He'll bring that type of business sense and that mind that we need for this football team. And I think that's one thing when you look at Magic. Yeah, you've seen some stuff that hit or miss, but in this setting, because he won't be like our general manager and thing like he was like with the Lakers and have that type of executive type of position. So I love it. I think it's and it just brings some fresh air to this. And I think whatever, and it's funny because I always look at Magic as somebody who really just touched everything and to be gold. I think he literally, and I know, how him and Larry Bird pretty much shaped what the NBA is currently. As far as, I mean, you think about how bad the NBA was in the late '70s and how they was able to, pretty much, rearrange the trajectory of the sport. Not saying that Magic gonna do this for our team, but you see that Magic has that type of Midas touch when it comes to turnaround situations that he's a part of. So I'm looking forward to it, and that's one thing too. Like I said, you can even tell, even in the, like I said, going to talk about the rally on Friday, him out there with the go-go band, him dancing, and you can see him. I can see him doing these type of stuff, like pre-games. Maybe not every home game, but I can see him that, or even after a loss, I can see him out being with the crowd. And I think that's one thing too, where he's gonna definitely help the fan engagement portion of it. I can definitely see Magic being that one that's gonna, even though with the stake that he has like 4% of it, but he's gonna have a tremendous impact for this. I can see him being amongst the people after we win games, high-fiving people. He's on the stage, like, dancing. I can see him being that type of, his stake in his ownership. I definitely think he's going to be really hands-on for us, and I think he's going to be the one. He's going to be the one that's going to reach out and touch everybody. It's going to be a great atmosphere.
Yeah, I always been a fan of Magic, even though I didn't like the Lakers, but I just like his business mind. I mean, the dude, man, he could pull people in. I mean, from that big smile of his, just his personality wise, and and it's really surprising just to. I mean, like, I wasn't even there, but I could have feel the electricity from the crowd just by watching the video, and I'm like, man, I'm like so hyped for this. You got Josh Harris out there shaking hands with the fans and everything, and talking and stuff like that. And I think that on Thursday, when they knew for a fact that when it was unanimous, that means they wanted Daniel Snyder gone. They didn't care about anything, and it's just now it's time. I think it's time for this franchise to breathe new life and just get things back in order slowly, not because right now, one of the biggest things that a lot of fans is crying for is the name change. You know what I'm saying? Granted, it might not be the most popular name, but we still got to support the team. And Magic and Magic said everything is on the table. Josh Harris said that hate is not the most important thing right now because there's other things that need to be taken care of. Especially you got contract situations with. Now we did sign the two rookies, Quan Martin and Emmanuel Forbes, and then you still got Chase and Montez, and you got Cam Curl out there that need contracts. You know what I'm saying? So you can't really focus too much on a name change when there is so much other things that need to be done. Magic said it best. He said, we got enough work to go around to worry about a name change. And from what I have heard is that our state, we're looking to get a stadium by 2031, but it could be a dome stadium. And that's something that I wanted if it be the old arcade stadium, but make it a dome, because you could do a whole lot. You could hold Super Bowls, different types of things there. You ain't got to worry about it, and you got to get into however the NFL is transitioning to, especially when it comes to hosting big events like the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Can you imagine what the Super Bowl would look like in DC?
Yeah,
it would be crazy. I mean, that's they used to call it what, Chocolate City back in the day. When you had Chocolate City 2.0 going off again, jobs, everything. I mean, it's just be electric shock in the DMV area, and I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it. I'm just glad that Josh Harris got this team. I was behind Josh Harris from the get-go. I wanted him. I see how he did the Sixers. I see what he did with the New Jersey Devils. I know what Magic brought to the table. I didn't know a lot about Mitchell Riles, but I didn't know that Mitchell Riles knew Daniel Snyder, and I think Josh Harris knew, and they all from that area. And that what makes it more important, because you got people that grew up and lived in that area, so that helps a whole lot. Now, fast forward. Let me ask you one question, because it is about the name change. How do you feel about the name change, and what do you think if they do change the name, which I know they probably will eventually? What's some of the names that you have wanted, or what you think they should do?
So I think as far as the changing of the name, I think it's going to happen. I think it's just to a point where it's almost like, okay, we did this 3 years ago with the Washington football team. We did this last year with the Washington Commanders. It's almost like, okay, we're literally going to go through 4 name changes in maybe in the next 4 years. So, I mean, it probably will happen because obviously, but this one is going to stick because obviously now there's continuity within this organization. So we don't necessarily have to worry about, it being changed anytime soon. And I think that's one, well, in our lifetime, I'll put it this way, because you just never know. You never know what could be offensive, 90 years down the line. Just keep it in a buck. There's a few names I do like. I wouldn't mind us going back to Washington football team. That's one of them. Yeah. But it also, I think I want to. It's 2 that I really want because of just like the Red Hogs. Yeah. I think it's a good tribute to, what the name was, which was the Washington Redskins, and then paying a tribute to the Hogs, the offensive line from the 80s, in the early 90s. So put that 2 together, and then we can always have that classic aura on the hats, almost like a la Joe Gibbs. Yeah, that type, and bring that kind of back in a sense. And then also too, and my guy Fred Smoot, this is his pick. So it's like I ride with Fred with this one, the Red Wolves. Okay. And you can still have that aura on the head as well. So that's the thing where I look at it from the standpoint. I do, but I think if it was my call, I say Red Hogs, because at least it's a tribute to the past without the PC culture that we live in. Because I know a lot of people want the old name, but we know that's not, the old name's never coming back. I mean, it's never gonna come back. And also too, I do like the fact that Josh Harris did make the name. He did say the name Redskins. I think that's one thing too where I appreciate that as well. So I think to me it pays tribute to it, because some of us, and I'm I am one of those ones where like, I hate that the name changed, but I mean, what am I supposed to do? You have to get over it. I mean, it's been 3 years now. So, if so I think having the Red Hogs, I think would definitely, because you can always say the Hogs versus the Cowboys, the Hogs versus the Eagles. I think they have a great ring to it. So, So,
I agree with you with that. I definitely agree with that, because Red Hogs or Red Wolves will be my 2 favorite, but I think the Hogs will be a very good tradition, because if you think we got Major Tutty, he's a Hog.
He can stay there. You're right. We can keep Major.
Yeah, you can keep Major. keep Major Tuddy and change it to Red Hogs. And I think that I think that could be the one of the top names. And like you said, the you know, in the PC world that we live in, with everything so sensitive, and you can't do this, you can't say this, or you know, you get canceled for every little thing, and it's just irritating to me. And it's like, you know, I read a lot, and I hear a lot of people. I got one guy that's a Redskin fan that's worked with me at BMW, and he's like, well, we should change it back to the Redskins. And I told him, I said, man, we're not changing it back. I said, you're going to have to learn to adjust. I say, you are a stubborn fan, just like everybody else I see. And I say, I see this every day. I say, yeah, we want the Redskins back, but Daniel Snyder messed that up for us. I said, and then, you know, the culture climate that we live in right now is not going to allow that to happen, you know. So, you know, just be appreciated that we lived through the Redskin era, but we can still honor the Redskins by changing it to a similar fashion of a bridge of the two of the future and the past. So, and you know, I read some comments on these groups on Facebook that are like, well, if they ain't changing something else, I'm not supporting. It's like, support your team regardless of what the name is. Yeah, if you feel like you still want to call them Redskins, call them Redskins. I don't care, but support the team regardless of what the name is. Yeah, a lot of us didn't like Commanders. I was one, just like you, wanted to stay football team. And I was like, football team had a more subtle. It was not confusing. I mean, we got adjusted to it, you know. So, I mean, it's what it is, man. But at the end of the day, you know, to me, like I said, I don't think the name change is the most important thing. I think, if anything, my main thing that I think, we need a win.
Yep.
No matter what we do from this point on, because guess what? We can't blame Daniel Snyder now. We have to win games. We got to go out there and perform. We got to go out there and knock down wins. And speaking of winning, I'll give my rebuttal to your answer. But now that Josh Harris took over this team, now that you see everything that the team has done from mini camp, off season, draft, and whatever, where do you think this team could potentially be and go from the start of the season? I'm not going to touch on training camp yet, because we're going to talk about that later.
Yeah, I think this team could be definitely successful. I think people fail to realize that this team was a game away potentially from being in the playoffs last year, considering the fact everything that has transpired from the quarterback play, the inefficient quarterback play, the quarterback carousel that we had, and essentially, you know, with Carson Wentz and Taylor Heineke. So, I look at that type of situation where I think we'll be fine as far as, we have a starter in place, which is guy above me, right next to me, Sam Howell. So,
hey, hold on for a second. Dang,
yes, sir.
I got a custom made Sam Howell hat. You go ahead and talk. I'll be right
it's
back.
all good. Yeah, it's all good. But yeah, and I think that's one thing too, where this team was close to make the playoffs, even despite all of that, because. And it's funny that we talked about this as far as kind of earlier, where a lot of stuff. Oh yeah, for sure. The quarterback, and then you don't necessarily have to worry about all the other issues that transpired during during the regular season with this ownership and all type of stuff. So I definitely think this is going to be be a really good. I think it's going to be an improvement from last year, and so I definitely think this team is worst case scenario is that at least week 18 they're playing for a playoff spot, in my personal opinion. So I definitely think this team is a playoff caliber football team.
Yeah, I do too. I do believe so too. I really think this team is going to. I think the pressure. I think there's going to be pressure to perform well, quite naturally, with the new ownership. But I think now, I think this team is going to go out and play like a team for the first time in a long time. And I think Ron Rivera feels like now, hey, I still has to do my job, but at the same time now we can get this team more relaxed, go out there and play and not have to worry so much about, answering answering like allegation questions or Daniel Snyder questions. You could answer legitimate football questions. And you can't go out there and make dumb football calls on the field like you did last year. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the things that annoyed me so much about Ron Rivera last year because they was making dumb football decisions on the field. And it kind of like cost us a playoff spot, so you can't do that this year because Josh Harrison already said that they're gonna allow them to do their job, but they're gonna be watching. So you can't go out there and secondhand because if you got one of the best offensive mind coaches on your that's running the offense, allow him to do his thing. Help with the defense, do whatever you need to do. But we can't just make bonehead decisions because everybody's gonna be watching. The hot take on Washington is that we don't have a quarterback. That's the main thing that the mainstream media runs with. We don't have a quarterback. Nobody has faith in Sam Howell. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wanted Eric Bieniemy over there with Washington, because our franchise was dysfunctional. Ron Rivera hasn't won since Cam Newton days. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we getting close, but we haven't got over. So it's a whole lot of plethora of stuff that Ron Rivera, even Jason White, he gotta like continue to improve. So it's a lot of going into the season, and then one of the number one things that we haven't touched on yet is Chase Young. What is going on with him? And I'm gonna ask you this too because I know I got a lot of, I heard a lot of trades about Chase Young, and my sentiment. I'll tell you my sentiment, but I'm gonna let you run with it. What's your expectation for Chase Young? And do you think Washington should pay him before Montez Sweat, or you think Montez Sweat should get paid before him? And if there was a trade for Chase Young, would you trade Chase Young, knowing how well the defense played last year?
So I definitely think Chase Young's gonna have a great year this year. I think people fail to realize this man's coming off of injury last year. I mean, he didn't, this team didn't really have enough time to kind of get his wings, get his footing. Mm-hmm. So I look at it from the standpoint of we still got to give him a full year because I just found it so crazy how the tide has turned on Chase Young. Like, his rookie year, he did great. The second year, he kind of struggling, but then he gets hurt in that Tampa Bay game, and then all that's happening. Now, as far as who would I probably get first? If it was up to me, it'd probably be Montez because he's proven it. I think that's one thing too, where he's shown that he can do his thing, and Chase has as well, but we have more of a body of work of Montez than we do of Chase. And that's just due to injury, and I think Chase is going to be fine. And I think that's the thing where I find it all interesting that, how productive he was his rookie year and all this. And I think he'll have a great shot with it as well. I think that definitely having them both on the line is definitely going to create terror, especially on those edges. So yeah, it would be Montez if I had to pay him first. Trade wise, I don't think and the thing with Chase, I think people fail to realize too, Chase is a leader. And I think one thing, and he's somebody I really looked at, especially when he was hurt. Like, especially, I remember when he had a hamstring injury and he didn't play against Cleveland his rookie year. That's the when we played the Browns. I think either week 3 or week 4 of the NFL season in 2020. And I can see even on the bench, on the sidelines, how he was engaging with his teammates and all and everything that's concerned. Like he would come up to, I know, even come up sometimes. I know that was the game that unfortunately God rest his soul, Dwayne Haskins had those interceptions stuff, but you can see he was engaged with Chase Young was engaged with him as well in those moments, and then he was just engaged with the team. So, like, to me, that shows me his leadership. And I think one of the things where those type of things you can't, that's a tangible. That's something that you want a guy like that, a guy in your circle and your team. And then even just the whole him embracing Taylor Heineke, and then even showing him even last year when on the bench he was present. And he was, there and, engaging with his teammates. So it ain't like a situation where he was just sitting on the sidelines and he was just like he was bored. No, he was into the game as if he could suit up and be on the field. We knew he was in street clothes, but I guarantee you, if it weren't for that injury, he'd have been out there suit up. Like, so, I mean, for trade considerations, I mean, you got to give me a first and some other stuff, first and some assets.
Yeah.
Like Chase Young, like he has so many intangibles. You're gonna have to pony up some draft capital and some legitimate assets. And we're not talking about some like a 70 some ranked player in Madden. You're gonna have to cough up.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to cough up some multiple players and some draft picks, and I don't know if Matt gonna be able to pull that off. But but at least we want to for maybe a first round that we'll start there, but then some other players need to come with him as well. I mean, come out of that trade.
Oh yeah, definitely that. My thing is like, if you trade him, like I said, you're gonna have to get compensation for him. You just can't give him away for free. I like Chase. I never was against Chase Young. I was hard on him because he should be able to produce way better than, because he's a freak of nature. And we could go back to where LeVar Arrington, when LeVar had got drafted. He was number 2 overall, and he had 3 great seasons. Because he was leading the team in tackles and tackles assists, and he had sacks, and he was a freak until he got injured. You know what I'm saying? So, but he never recovered. But his story was him and Daniel Snyder couldn't get along because of a contract situation. I listen to LeVar on that show, 2 Pros and a Cup of Joe, every morning, and I'm gonna tell you, boy, the dude sound like a bitter wife, boy. He sounds like a bitter wife. But for Chase standpoint, I think Chase coming this year and do the same thing, because Montez Sweat said it. He said Deron Payne set the blueprint to how to get paid. You come in there and perform, especially at a high level. You got to look at this defense for a second. The defensive line is constructed where it's not Aaron Donald or Khalil Mack or Joey Bosa or Myles Garrett. You got all of them in one on a line. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So to me, this is where I said this. I think the Washington Commanders have the best defense in the league right now. That's just how I feel about it. We could argue about San Francisco defense because, Joey Bosa is going to get the headlines. But when you got Deron Payne had, 9 sacks last year? No, Deron had 11.5. Jonathan Allen had about 7, 8? Tez had 8. You know what I'm saying? And then not looking at F.A. Abada, Ridgeway, Smith Williams, all of these guys that contribute had sacks. We had one of our best sack seasons last year, almost 30 sacks as a team. We didn't get a lot of turnovers on the back end, but guess what we did? We went out and corrected that in the draft.
Cool.
You know what I'm saying? The same. If you look back to how Ron Rivera came and Jack Del Rio, we wasn't getting sacks. We drafted sack masters, pressure up the middle, stopping the run. Now we working on the back end. And to me, I just feel I'm it's my team. I'm realistic when it comes to certain things, but I think the Washington Commanders going to have they had the best defense because you can't not game plan for Allen, Payne, Sweat, and Chase. You can't. And that's what's going to give Chase the edge because everybody's going to get so much attention. And not even talking about the linebackers yet. You know what I'm saying? We're not even adding them in the mix. But you got to – how you going to worry about Chase Young when you got Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen up the middle, and Tez on the end? That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot. And then you got your secondary because you got Cam Curl going to be back. You got Derek Forrest. Cam Curl and Derek Forrest was one of the two best safeties in the league last year. Had a high grade. Then you got Kendall Fuller on one side. Then you got Benjamin St. Jude on the other side. Then not speaking of Quan Martin and Emmanuel Forbes that's going to be in the mix. Now that's going to be a fast secondary back there. So my thing is, I think Chase will have close to 10 sacks this year. I really think so because I think he's going to benefit off of them guys. Now he don't have to feel. He just got to come and play and keep his and everything that he's been training from the facility, not with the facility, and learning some moves. I think that's going to be good. Working out with Von Miller is going to help him a whole lot because now you get to see him do some different things. And if him and Tez put pressure off that edge and Deron Doom start putting pressure in that middle, it's going to – I don't care what offense you got. You ain't stopping all four of them. You ain't stopping all four of them. You know, unless you got one of the best offensive line in the game. I don't see it. I don't see it. Maybe I might be tooting the horn on them too much, but I just feel like this is probably the best collective defensive unit in the league. I mean, we could go down the line from defense to defense, but I mean, look at Chris Jones. He's asking for $30 million right now, a single player. You know what I'm saying? Now, the Washington Commanders do have they're going to have about 80, going into next year, about 80, close to 100 million in the cap. And then they just cut Noel today. So they saved them another 4.4. So they could use that money to get a deal done with either Cam Curl or Montez. You know what I'm saying? Or extension with one of them guys. And they lock one of them guys in. I still believe that both of them guys, Tez and Chase, going to get signed. We're going to have four defensive guys under contract and it's all about keeping them together. And that's what Ron Rivera said. He wanted them together. So, now everybody was hyped over Emmanuel Forbes. I really wanted, what's the guy? I think it's
Christian Gonzalez. Was it Christian
Gonzalez? I wanted Gonzalez.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted Gonzalez, but you know, everybody looking at what Forbes did, his interceptions and what he did in the SEC. And I mean, it's the SEC, but you know, I think that he's going to play an integral part. I don't think he's going to start. Now, it only depends on how they move him around, him and Fuller around, in and out. If they can move both of them in and out through, you know, some games and stuff like that, confuse the defense a little bit. And I think Jack Del Rio, he's happy about that, you know. But I think the star of the team is going to be Quan Martin. You go ahead and give me your thoughts. I see you shaking your head. Go ahead, give me.
Oh no, I'm saying yeah. Quan's legit, man. I think he's a sleeper. I definitely think he's gonna be he gonna be legit. I definitely think. And I'm telling you that we talked a lot like as far as the D ends and but like their secondary is gonna be good as well. And I think people, like you said, are sleeping on the secondary. Especially you look at like Cam Curl, and he's another one that had, especially in that 2020 season, where he had a knack for those turnovers. That's the biggest thing with us. I think if we can win those battles on the turnover, especially on the defensive side, you got a playmaker like Cam Curl who can take it to the house. He's done it a couple times, and then Emmanuel Forbes, where I think I liked it because I think, like you said, all those pick six that he had at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
I love that. And St. Juice, I like St. Juice. I know a lot of people are like kind of on the fence about it, but to me, I think what he really, to me, earned his stripes was in that Philly game. We played them at home. They what was it, either week 3 or week 4?
Yeah.
And people fail to realize he only got beat on that one big play.
Yeah.
So to me, like he held in, like, and it's just like everything. It's like guarding a 20-point score. Yeah, they can get 15, 20 off you, but it's hard as far as how you can contain it. But he did a great job, in my personal opinion. I know he had that one play, but I mean, any cornerback in this league is probably gonna get burnt on that type of play potentially.
Yeah.
I definitely like him as well. Like you said, I think another guy, obviously, Derek Forrest, and he's another one that had really, especially in that, I think obviously he earned his stripes in my personal opinion in that Jacksonville game, where he had the interception, pretty much seal our fate in that game. But I'm telling you, man, people think this defense is a slouch, and I'm like, all right, y'all keep sleeping. And the thing I think with Kendall, I think he just needed he honestly he needed to be like a nickelback.
Yeah.
And certain, and because that's what he excelled when he was here the first time, and then how he excelled in Kansas City. So like, and we starting to get that depth in the cornerback position. So I definitely think we're gonna I think that's the thing. I think that the only difference, if we get them turnovers, and I think that's, to me, that's the last, that's the last straw. That's the last thing that we need on this defense, because I don't know. I know one point in the season we led the league in quarterback hits. So we didn't get into the quarterback. So the penetration on that line is getting there. We get to the quarterback. It's just that stopgap, and especially in that, with linebackers, and then also too, not making plays in secondary. And I think a lot of it too, people fail to realize, is our offense was so bad because we had a lot of 3 and outs. We didn't have opportunities. So the defense was always on the field. And I think people, and that's one thing too, I think people, and that's one thing when you look at these types of games, it's almost like if you would have just told me, because time of possession matters. And I think especially, I looked at that stat, like, I don't know if I looked at it really particular last year, but I know in 2021, I knew how our offense was. I was like, if we have the ball for more than 30 minutes, we're going to win a football game. But I was like, those are the type of situations when you look at it. I think now with an improved offense, and like you have Eric Bieniemy, a essentially a former NFL running back. Yeah. There, as far as there, so we'll be able to kind of have somewhat of a balance on offense. So I think that's one thing too, where I'm telling people, man, I love people sleeping on us, man. I tell you, I've been hearing, y'all taking for Caleb Williams. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Man.
Are you like? Do y'all watch football? Like, I was like, no one is thinking that we're gonna be the worst team in the league.
Exactly.
Like, this team is built to not fail in that type of regard. Like,
you're right.
I was like, and that's something, like, we did it the right way. We built within the trenches, and then then we showed up with some playmakers, and then we got a quarterback, that's pennies on a dollar. Yeah, we're doing the NFL standard, and now y'all saying we don't want the worst team.
Exactly, because everybody wants to win so fast. You know what I'm saying? Right. And And I think, to me, and I've been hard on Ron Rivera. I ain't gonna lie. I called for Ron Rivera head last year after what he said after he said that he didn't know we was supposed to make the playoff. I was mad. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh yes.
I was mad. I was hot. I was mad. I wanted him fired. I was like, boy, if Daniel Snyder wasn't in trouble, boy, he would have been getting his pink slip that Monday morning. I was like, bro, you
don't know that.
You end up putting Carson Wentz back in the Cleveland game when you know Taylor Heineke should have played, or you could have just went with Sam Howell and we could have got in the playoffs. But that's neither here or there. But like you said, that this secondary is the ingredient that we need because we didn't get a lot of turnovers. Now we corrected a lot of things on defense last year. We got off the field on third down. We stopped on third down. That was one of the biggest improvements that we had trouble with from the last previous years. We started getting more sacks on the quarterback. Now we need to get more turnovers. If we get turnovers and get a short field, it's going to help Sam Howell a lot. And I think it's going to make teams really, really pay attention to us and because they're going to have to figure out how to attack us. And I think Jack Del Rio is so glad because we still got Percy Butler there. He's going to get some time he's going to get some time, and now he's in his second year. He got the chance to learn a little bit more. So, and you still got Jeremy Reeves there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we got a lot there in the secondary to mix and match to confuse along with our defensive front. The linebacker situation, I still want them to address that a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But I think Khalid Hudson is going to be that starter, and I like him. He reminds me of Khalil Mack just in a linebacker form a little bit, because like that patch linebacker thing. And I think Jamin Davis is going to have a breakout year too. He started coming on last year, so now this is third year, so now he should be ready to take over that linebacker spot. So I want to see how everything meshed together, so forth and so on. Now, I see you got Sam Howell back there, and I got Sam Howell with me on the sideline.
Yeah.
Sam Howell's a dog, man. I think him. I've been seeing a lot of him and Jahan Dotson connection. And I know he's gonna have a connection with Terry. That's a given. Terry's just that guy. Terry reminds me of Art Monk a little bit. He reminds me so much of Art Monk, man. And I see a lot of Ricky Sanders, not Ricky Sanders, but what's the other one?
Not Ricky Sanders. It's the I know you talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Art Monk. Oh man, so funny.
Yeah. I say it so much, and it gets stuck. But that's what Jahan Dotson remind me of. Ricky Sanders is more like Curtis Samuels a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, he reminded me a lot of
Curtis Samuels. Yeah. And I just see so much of the triplets in these guys, and to have somebody like Sam Howell that could maneuver.
Gary Clark.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was like,
thank you.
I'm not gonna let. Yeah, I was like, I gotta.
Gary Clark. That's Jahan Dotson. Jahan Dotson is Gary Clark. Gary Clark, man. And people don't realize, a lot of people wasn't happy when Washington had drafted Jahan Dotson, and I wonder if he's still in there.
Can you hear me?
He must. Well, we're gonna go ahead and continue until Coach gets back on here. Um, but definitely, like I said, Jahan Dotson is that guy. I believe he's going to be very effective. I think Sam Howell is going to put these guys in place like they need to. And all I can say, I'm very, very, very excited about these guys when it comes to this season. I think Sam Howell is going to, I'll give Sam Howell like 25 touchdowns, close to over 3,000 yards for the season. But I think he's going to have some running yards. I think I'll give him, there, coach right there. All right.
Modern technology. I don't know what happened.
I know, right? So I was saying that I think Sam Howell with his mobility and his maneuver, for some reason, I see a little bit of Steve Young in him a little bit too. I think a lot of people just don't give him another credit. Yeah, he's short, but he's very accurate. He could throw between the seams. That's something I like a quarterback to do, that could hit that precision passing, when it comes down to slants and cross the middle type of plays, not so much always the deep throws, you know what I'm saying? Because I know he could throw that, he could throw it deep. So I'm not worried about him three. And then the thing about it is, with our running backs that we have, the offensive weaponry is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. Because now you got Eric B. Enemy in there, and I was so glad that Ron did the right thing and get rid of Scott Turner, because it was either him or Scott Turner, one of the two. So because Scott Turner, I think after a while I don't know, man. It seemed like we had games where we was rolling and he just killed the momentum so much. And we already know Eric B. Enemy, he's going to throw everything at you on offense. You going to have to be every down throughout the whole game. I do think Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City is going to miss him though. I think they still be that team, because it reminds me of when Charlie Weiss had left the Patriots, and Tom Brady did kind of he didn't have them successful season like he normal, until Josh started working with him a lot more and they started getting back a little bit. But I think the Chiefs will look a little bit different, but I think the whole offensive unit for the Commanders, even Sam Howell, is going to benefit. A lot of people say, well, Jacoby Brissett. And I like Jacoby because I wanted Jacoby years ago when he was available for us. I wanted him then. Mm-hmm. But I think, give me your thoughts on Sam Howell and your expectations for him this season.
Yeah, I'm excited. Obviously, I'm a University of North Carolina football fan, so I've been following him for years. When we picked him, I was excited. I mean, I remember I was like screaming, like hype. I was just as happy as his family that he came to Washington. I think with Sam Howell, I think people look at it, as far as, they look at him, he's young, he's a 5th round pick. But to me, I think he's gonna be a great quarterback for us. And I think, like you said, and and I think that's one of the reasons why we think that this team is going to be successful, because we got to think about the quarterback play that we've had pretty much since Alex Smith injury in 2018. We really haven't had much, but we have been in contention. Surprisingly, 2019 we didn't, but 2020 on in, this at least this decade, we've been at least a playoff contending team each of the 3 seasons. So I think I look at it from the standpoint. He makes the throws. I think, like you said, he has great accuracy. He has the arm. He has the arm. He can make the throws. He can also extend plays with his feet. And I think, and then he's tough. He's a tough quarterback. Like he'll take hits get back up and to be the leader. And I think one thing too, where he doesn't get rattled, and I think that's one thing. I think a lot of people are gonna really see a lot in these situations. And I think the thing with Sam Howell is might gonna be maybe the issue is the turnovers, because even and I know I'm gonna even use some of the kind of the examples that he had, like I know when we with Kansas City, we had that drive in the preseason. He threw that costly interception that pretty much pinned not pinned, but reason sealed Kansas City's win in the preseason. And the same thing happened in Baltimore where last year. But I think a lot of people, and he was really successful at University of North Carolina. I think people fail to realize his 2021 year, he essentially had, two NFL wide receivers, and actually one of them is on our team in De'Ami Brown. The other one, Daz Newsome. And then he also had two running backs, and Michael Carter and Javonte Williams as well there too. And then, and then it's like, well, why the drop off between 2021 and 2022? Well, really, it was the 2021 season and then 2021. I think people fail to realize, when you lose that type of production, especially in college, your numbers are going to fall. And I think even in the moments where you're like he I remember one game he played against Florida State. I mean, they were kicking the mess out of us, and then all of a sudden he almost brought us back to win that game. And I look at those type of moments when your back is against the wall, because we're gonna have moments our backs could be against the wall.
Oh yeah,
our team will get kicked in, but somehow he just kept on performing. He kept on just doing his thing, and we fell a little bit short in that game at Florida State. But it's one of those where, hey, that showed me, hey, he's tough. He's a leader. He's going to stick it out. He's not going to be the one that's going to be on the side. And I hate to say this out loud, but he's not going to be like Carson Wentz, where he's going to be mentally shaken.
Oh man! Right. Hey, say it out loud. Say it proud too.
Right, that's the thing, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Carson Wentz was a shell of himself, man, and
yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, the dude looked like he didn't know what football was. I mean, I'm literally sitting here like, come on, man, don't get this guy out of the game, get him out of the game. And so, but I think, like you said, Sam Howell is that guy. Sam Howell to me is like, first, before I even go any further. Did you just say that you North Carolina fan?
Yep. And you Miami, yeah.
So we're gonna be doing some battles this year, right? For college football.
Sure. A gentleman's bet. Yeah.
So therefore, when North Carolina and Miami play, we're gonna do a game preview of the game. Because everybody's hyping up your boy Drake May, but he ain't Sam Howell, so I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, but He up there. He up there.
He up there.
Yeah. I mean, hey, he might. So, I hope he get Mr. Trubisky's spot be the highest, at least the number 2 overall pick next year. Or
he'll be number 2 pick. It's gonna be him and what's the name? I think, but I think Sam Howell, he's in a good spot because he's learning from a great coach. I would have been more worried if it was Scott Turner.
Yeah.
That would have been my worry. And I think, Eric Bieniemy is he's no nonsense. He's definitely he holds everybody accountable. He ain't playing with them. He gonna get in your butt. And if you ain't ready to play, you ain't gonna play. That's just how it is. So, we're gonna shoot into the last segment. It's training camp. So training camp is starting. Actually, I will be there this weekend, Friday and Saturday. So I'm hoping that Josh Harris and Magic Johnson be there. So I could get to see them up close and personal. So that will be my highlight for myself. But I'm excited about training camp. Like I said, there's a lot of things that we're gonna look in. We look into. What is your expectation for training camp this season?
I just, to me, obviously, when it comes to training camp, all this, I want it to be a healthy training camp, and just with a lot of competition. I think one thing too, and hope these times will build camaraderie and bonds for this team. I
Yeah.
think you look at, and it's one thing I always look at, just this whole, like, far as when I look at maybe the position battle that you really want to watch, I definitely want to see this wide receiver core, like, as far as where I want to see them battling week day in, day out in practice. We got a lot of, like, and that's one thing too on this wide receiver depth. It's gonna be a guy that's probably more likely may not make this team, and
Yeah.
that's where it's gonna be really interesting. Like, who's the battle? I mean, we got some really good wide receivers, and just who's gonna make that team. I kind of want to see how this offensive line gels, like,
Yeah.
as far as that's concerned. I think, and like you said, the defense is pretty much shored up. I mean, to me, you might have some tweaks here or there, but in the same token, I think the one I really want to watch is the wide receiver battle, and just how this offensive line is gel, because everything else pretty much lock and key. I mean, as far
Mm-hmm.
as all of it really is lock and key, but it's just as far as who's going to be in that depth chart, who's going to vie for those, pretty much that slot. Well, that slot, but like that fourth, fifth receiver, and how many wide receivers want to keep. That's the thing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's where I think that's going to be the intrigue.
I do like that. I do like the guy from UCLA, the one we drafted. I like him.
Oh, um, it was it. I know you talk about. I should know that off the top of my head, but yeah.
Yeah, I like him a lot, and I hope he makes the team because we definitely need to spark that. Definitely need to spark that kick return game again. Something that we've been lacking. But I think the one person we haven't touched on is De'Ami Brown. How much he's going to benefit because of having Sam Howell back there.
Yeah.
Because he he hasn't really had that breakout. Now last year he had a game where he had like a touchdown and almost like two. I mean, or another bomb. Carson Wentz could. So
Tennessee.
he has
Tennessee,
Tennessee.
that Tennessee game.
So he has potential, but you gotta use him in the right way. And I think, like I said, I think every enemy is going to use everybody. He's going to use all of the personnel. It ain't gonna just I think the wide receiver core is going to be a lot, but I think the two positions I'm intrigued is the running back position and the tight end, because I definitely want to see what the tight end group is going to look like. I'm a little down because Amani Rogers went down early in the and I had so much hope for him because I saw what he could do last year. Now Logan Thomas, he has a whole year of being completely healthy. How well he's going to perform, Cole Turner, or if we're going to get another running back, or there's, I think, what's the other guy named Carlos Rogers, or I think his name Carlos Rogers.
Is it Amari Rogers?
No, Amari
Rogers.
That's Amari Rogers. That's the one that got hurt. But the other one is
Amari Rogers. Yeah,
the other one is a Rogers too. But I'm saying Carlos Rogers, but I don't want to.
I think so. Shout out to Carlos Rogers.
Yeah. So, but I definitely want to see the tight end be used a little bit more. I want to see who's going to be that guy that's going to, put pressure on the secondary, because you don't want your receivers to have to do everything. You want that one guy, like how they did in Kansas City, where Travis Kelce was that guy to put the pressure on the defense and then allow the other receivers just to, pick their spots where they could, fill in. So it's going to be interesting. Like I said, that I think to me, I really think this year that this team with Daniel Snyder remove that big cloud, the end of the era is over of him. I think this team is gonna come out. They're gonna have a great training camp. They're gonna look like a team that nobody they're gonna say, well, dang, I don't even recognize this team no more. They're gonna be looking for the same Washington team not doing well and doing this. I done heard so many over unders and saying that, oh, we gonna lose, we ain't gonna win about 6.5 games. I'm like, dude, we won 7 games 2 years straight and 8 games last year. So what are you talking about? And this team is way talented than we had ever. This is the most talented team we ever had. And it's in the Daniel Snyder era going forward. This is the most talented team we had. So I don't see it. Yeah, our schedule might be a little difficult, but guess what? I think, to me, the NFC is up for grabs.
Yeah.
It's up for grabs. Yeah, Philly is there because they're the defending conference champion, the NFC East champion. But guess what? Ain't like we scared of them.
We beat them.
You know what I'm saying? Ain't like we scared of. Ain't like we scared of Dallas. Ain't like we scared of the Giants. Guess what? Because the Giants got to realize they ain't sneaking up on nobody this year.
Exactly.
They ain't sneaking up on nobody. And you best believe we owe them from last year.
Oh yeah, we need our lick. We'll get our lick back for sure.
So, and everybody else, I'm already making plans to travel to Seattle to see us play the Seahawks. So I'm already pre-planning that, and already pre-planning that. So, but all in all, Coach, give me your final analysis of what to expect for the Washington Commanders.
I think they're gonna be one of those teams that, like you said, this ain't gonna be your homecoming game. This ain't gonna, your 1:00 Sunday drive. No, you have to pack your lunch every Sunday when you play against this Washington Commanders team. I think this team is going to be 10-7 and will make the playoffs. This team, like you said, this to me is probably one of the most talented teams. I wouldn't say this century. I mean, but they got it's up there as far as one of the talented teams that we've had in quite at least in a decade. So I definitely this team is gonna be 10-7, make the playoffs, and I definitely think this team is going to surprise some people. Yeah. So don't get it twisted. Yeah, this ain't this ain't your old Washington Commanders. That y'all think the laughing joke. Oh, it's Tutty and all that. No, we get our lick back this year.
Oh yeah, I think, like I said, I tell people all the time. The first thing they said, "Well, y'all ain't got no quarterback." I said, "All right, I'll take that." Find out. I said, Sam Howell's the truth. I said, but I'll take that. I said, but we making the playoffs, and they was like, "Well, what's your record?" And I gave them a record. I said 10. I said 10 wins. I said we 2 wins over 500. I said, because the fact of the matter is everything is in place for this team to succeed. I said, I will be shocked, embarrassed if this goes all wrong. And I don't see it going all wrong at all. So with that being said, once the preseason kick off, I will definitely be in full gear of the Washington Commanders aftermath. I would drop probably a live stream here and there when news break out and stuff. But definitely, I will be at training camp. I might try to go to the second training camp in August, late the middle of August. I don't know yet, but I am going this weekend because I think it's going to be special. It's going to be special. I think there's a lot of things that's going to be going on there. So I'm gonna definitely go there and network with some of the other content creators there and everything, and rub elbows, take a lot of pictures. So come back and I'll probably come back and do the following Monday do another um, aftermath and just recap of what I seen at the training camp and stuff like that. So I won't do a video, but I'll probably do a video vlog of it and then just do another live. But unless that, man, let everybody know where they can find you at.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, social media, Couch Coach Live. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Checking the podcast, Couch Coach Live. Couch Coach Live. Pretty much anywhere, YouTube, anywhere. Pretty much Google search Couch Coach Live. In the website, couchcoachlive.com.
All right, you hear it, man. Coach Couch. You know, it's an honor, man. I know you're a busy fella. You're a busy fella, you know, but I would try, hey, if you're available, definitely you're more than welcome to come back and hang out with me anytime, man. Anytime.
Let me know. I keep the schedule open for you, man, for sure.
Well, I appreciate that. So I appreciate that. Thank you. So we definitely will be talking more Commanders here and there. I just was talking to Cool last week because they did a recap of us kicking their behind. So I had to come on that show on the Eagles Elite, and he had some two people on there. So I had to give my beat down analysis, and everything like that. But I told him, I said, week 4,
it's on.
It's on.
October 1st. It's on. It's on.
Yes, sir. Until then, I'm your boy, LiveWire Sports Entertainment. I'm here again. You know what I do. I do Hurricanes, Chicago Bulls, Atlanta Braves, and definitely my number 1 team, the Washington Commanders. So until then, every Monday, 8 o'clock, Aftermath. Until then, God bless and good night, fellas.